Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing the third installment in the Level Spotlight series, which has been doing really well recently. I'm really glad you guys are enjoying these so much, as they are definitely my favorite videos to make, so I hope that you guys keep up the support. Something I want to apologize for is the number of extreme demons I had in my levels in the first two episodes. There were just a lot of extremes I wanted to talk about, and I got a lot of feedback asking for some non-extreme levels or even non-demon levels. So for this episode, I only included one extreme on the list, and I also went through in two non-demon levels. Hopefully this variety is more refreshing for you guys, and there are definitely more non-demons and non-extremes that I want to talk about in the future, so don't worry about that. Anyway, if you are unsure of the format of these videos, I would just recommend going and checking out the prior two episodes, as they should get you up to date on how I do these. I'm sure most of you know the drill by now though, so I won't talk about that anymore. I have a lot to say about today's 5 levels, and I expect this video to be quite the lengthy one, so I'm going to quit the babbling and just get right into it. The first level we are going to talk about today is definitely one of the best that I have ever seen. Only released a little over a week ago, Save As by Pac is one hell of a level. Inspired by The Caretaker's Everywhere at the End of Time, an incredible 6.5-hour album that depicts the 6 stages of Alzheimer's and dementia, Save As takes a similar format and concept and puts it into a much shorter form, being a 5-minute GD level. I really do highly recommend going and checking out Everywhere at the End of Time, as it is truly a brilliant and haunting rendition and captivation of what it must be like to go through an experience like dementia. If you really want to have a full appreciation for this level and what it means, please go check that out and skip through the start and end of each of the stages that are linked in the description of the video, as it will be an experience you won't regret embarking on. The music will be linked in the description. Anyway, on to the actual level. Just like the album by The Caretaker and Real Alzheimer's, the level progresses through 6 stages of severity. The first stage has simple designs and modern block decorations and backgrounds, and it seems like a pretty uninteresting start. However, the eerie feeling that this part gives off combined with the song is incredibly haunting, as it gives off a feeling of premonition and impending doom. Pac never gives a direct point or indication of when the stages shift between one another, and he has said this is because he wants it to be up to interpretation. So as a result, I will not be actually listing when the stages change, but instead just going over what happens in each. Something that I think is really interesting that I want to point out is the usage of colors in the first stage. The block designs have vibrant and smooth rainbow colors in them, and so do the gears, arrows, and spikes, and it feels like a normal level because of this. The first ship and cube are mostly normal, but the first sign we see of memory loss and forgetfulness is when the cube trips back and glitches itself, which is a concept that will be built on numerous times in the rest of the level. When you enter the first ball, the music picks up, and there seems to be some sort of hazy fog over the entire screen, which could represent how everything seems to be in a haze of confusion. The colors stay mostly rainbow in the block designs, but if you look closely you can see them go dark and turn monochrome at various points for a short time, which could show the loss of awareness and memory that is occurring in the patient. Another really cool aspect of this ball part is how the structures slowly slow down entirely at times, which I think represents the slow recollection and memory of a person with Alzheimer's at this point. They can still remember, but it's taking them longer than a normal person and they really have to think. The UFO that comes after this builds on the ball section even further, with the colors in the block designs going gray more often and for longer periods of time. All the structures on the screen also glitch out at times, and this shows how the Alzheimer patient is trying very hard to remember, but they can't help but forget. I think this combined with the way that the ball section has all the structures slow down, trying to remember, is an incredibly cool way to represent the frustration and effort that the patient has to put into remembering their memories. After all, in stage 2, the patient realizes that something is wrong, but they don't want to accept it. The next robot part has pretty similar concepts. The colors occasionally go gray, and the gameplay and structures that make up the part repeat themselves over and over, showing how the patient is having trouble remembering, and memories keep skipping and they struggle to remember beyond certain points. The next ship section marks a transition, I think. The colors go gray for longer than they have ever been before, and as structures glitch out, some phase in and out of appearance entirely, showing how the patient is having issues with remembering certain things for longer periods of time, and things are getting fuzzy. The wave after this is incredibly shaky and nearly entirely monochrome, with only a few splashes of color emerging every now and then. The shaking effect that the structures shudder with is absolutely incredible, and the way the structures slow down and speed up subtly shows the way that there are sparks of remembrance in the patient and points of forgetfulness. The next ball has very similar concepts to this, and the colors that were so ever-present in the beginning are now incredibly rare, showing the last coherent memories that the patient holds before confusion and haze completely sets in upon their mind. The cube after this is the first point in which there are entirely no colors left in the block designs or anywhere on the screen. This, I think, is the point where the confusion fully rolls in and horror overtakes all the memories and awareness that the patient had. The world around them is fuzzy and nonsensical, and the occasional familiarity of certain things is incredibly puzzling to them. The next UFO has similar concepts, but the shift after this is where things get really dicey. The entire perception of the world breaks around them, and nothing makes sense anymore. However, at the cube after this, the hell slows down and things go calm for a minute, with occasional flashes of blocks that may represent sudden recollection and familiarity that the patient may experience. This calmness is something that is usually felt sometime in stage 4, so I assume that this may be the end of it, as the ship section would have been the beginning. The wave that follows after this is when the horror and confusion to the world around the patient become even more ever-present. Not even regular behaviors seem to be comprehensible anymore, which is represented by the wave spastically moving around in a nonsensical manner. The part after this has more incredible shaking effects, which shows the confusion and hell that the patient is experiencing. Nothing makes sense anymore, and their life is spent in isolation. At the cube after this, black glow covers some parts of the screen, which could show their transition into total darkness and forgetfulness. The cube cannot even perform the simple function of moving in a continuous line down the structure, and this shows how nothing is doable for the patient anymore. They have returned to their primal instinct as a human, and they are suddenly a blank slate in a world filled with horrors and confusion. This is the end of Stage 5 in my opinion, and Stage 6 begins after this. According to the blurb and everywhere at the end of time, Stage 6 is without description. Nothing makes sense, and the last living weeks or days that the patient experiences are pure hell and nightmare. They live in a world where nothing is real anymore. It's cold, dark, and empty. Stage 6 is the point where they forget what it's like to forget, and they feel no frustration toward it anymore. No complex emotions can be expressed, only primal human feelings such as extreme fear. The occasional thought that is reverberated throughout the head is almost instantly snuffed out by the confusion and mist that occupies your entire memory, and living like this is surely one of the worst experiences one can have. The level ends with a dash orb into darkness, and this concludes one of the most real and emotional experiences felt in Geometry Dash level ever. I really hope I represented this level correctly, as it truly is one of my favorite levels to ever be conceived. I hope you can see why I love it so much now, and I hope you also adore it as much as I do. I'm really sorry I talked about this one for so long. There was just so much about it that I wanted to get down, so I hope it wasn't too boring. I'm not going to drag this on any further, as I probably already occupied a large chunk of the video talking about it, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Hopefully, it served this level justice, and with that said, let's get on to the next level for today. For today's next level, I have Anoxysm by Lemons. Okay, before you tell me that this level is ugly and lazy, I want you to hear me out. Lemons hasn't always been one of my favorite creators, but I think as 2.1 has progressed, he has put a lot more effort into his things and has really developed his style into something noteworthy. Making something in Lemon's style that is actually good is not easy, and it takes a very unique mind to make the things he does in my opinion. Anoxysm is no exception to this rule. This level genuinely has some of the best color combinations and ideas that I've ever seen in a level before, and color mixing is something that Lemons always blows me away with. This level is his peak in this regard, I think. Paroxysm had some really nice colors, but this level is just stunning mixing at each part. I don't know how he does it. The first part of Anoxysm is a slow cube, and the colors here are absolutely incredible. They might not look like much at first, but when you look closely, you will see that many of the objects subtly flash all colors of the rainbow, and the way he pulls this off is so amazing to me. The next part blows me away in a similar manner. It's a mini cube that uses an incredible pink and blue scheme, and the way that he changes the colors of the entire ground structures to pink and blue is something that you would almost never expect to work, but somehow he pulls it off. The next mini wave that comes after this is also extremely cool, even though the colors are much less noticeable. The mini wave structures flash one hue while the other object flashes another, and if you pay attention then you can see the flashes transition from a pink and green to a blue and orange. There's also yellow in the slope structures that stays constant throughout the flashing, and I think it's super cool how the yellow manages to complement both the orange and blue and green and pink. The ship after this is a mostly monochrome section, with many different hues of blue being used. However, there's a lot of white and black used to complement this, and the way it makes the blue pop is absolutely gorgeous. There's a really cool pulsing effect in the background with long curved structures that have a lighter shade of blue pulse through them, and I think that really adds to the depth of this part. However, the color combo that is used in the part after this is probably my favorite in the level. There is this incredibly unconventional and nonsensical color combo of sea green, pink, and white, and somehow it works amazingly well. I genuinely don't understand how he made this look good, as it literally makes no sense according to the color wheel, but somehow he pulled it off. Unfortunately, the part after this is probably my least favorite in the level. It's one of the only two subpar parts in my opinion, But it doesn't matter, because the part after this more than makes up for it. It's an amazing mix of pink and blue with a slow UFO, and the way the colors pulse with each other is just so amazingly natural and amazing. I don't know how Lemons does it, but he seriously is a master of color combos. The part after this is a fast spider with a purple and green color scheme, and this is a mix of hues that I think needs to be built on so much more in GD. It's so underrated, and I think that this part proves it. Lemons really did these two colors justice to this part. The next section is a very tight and dynamic ship that uses a sinister black and red. And though this part does not have the most original colors, it's one of the more visually satisfying parts in the level because of how fluid all the movements are. The next slow cube uses a really cool red and purple, and I'm telling you, Lemons just takes the most unconventional colors and somehow turns them into something amazing. He's definitely not the best at design, but the way he uses hue schemes to his advantage really makes his level stand apart from the rest. He always includes something never done before, and it's really cool to see. The next few parts in the level build on old color combos, with the fast mini robot also having a purple, blue, and green scheme, and the ship having another scheme of blue and white. The part after this is the second part of the level I'm not the biggest fan of, as it seems very simple and doesn't have good design or colors really, but it's alright. The level ends with 3 triple spike jumps and a mini cube, and though the end is sort of lacking, I really do think this is Lemons' best level and the most unique and well done levels in the game. Lemons is just a master at color mixing, and he has really grown on me throughout 2.1 and become one of my favorite creators because of this reason. I know a lot of people probably still won't like Anoxysm or that I included on this list, but I really hope you guys can see why I love it so much now. I can see why people wouldn't like it because of his lacking design, but hopefully you can understand where I am coming from. Anyway, that's all for Anoxysm. That's our only extreme for today, so without further ado, let's get on to the next level. For our next level, I have a first in level spotlight history, an auto level. Serpunch has always dabbled in auto works, with some of his more notable ones being What the F, Emotional Release, and Emotional Release 2. But in my opinion, this one is his best and has gone unnoticed and glossed over for far too long. Hell Depths by Serpunch is an auto level that was released in December of 2019, and I don't think it has garnered nearly enough attention it deserves. Ever since I saw this work of art, it has become one of my favorite levels in the game, and it's about time I talk about it. Of course, this is an art level, and like all other auto Serpunch levels, it doesn't have actual auto gameplay, just visual effects that accompany the music. Serpunch has always been a master of representing the song in his works amazingly, but this one just takes it to another level. Hell Depth starts off with some white flashes that sync to the music, and they slowly get bigger and build on each other, which is anticipating something growing as the music gets louder. When the music itself starts, we see a skull on a red screen with extremely epileptic and in-your-face flashing effects that accompany the music perfectly. Something I really love about this part is the repetition. The way that the skull just sits there and flashes to the music is so menacing, and this is an amazing first part to the level. After the flashy skull and effects fade out with the music, the level slows down and takes a very surprising but effective turn. The majority of the level uses a red color scheme, so it's quite off-putting when the light blue and purple are introduced in the next part, but I really think it's effective in being calming and making it seem like a break from the madness. This is the calm before the storm, and with the haunting piano that melodically dances in the background at this part, it's incredibly atmospheric and filled with premonition. The actual visual depicted here seems to be some sort of corridor, with the walls and floor having moving effects that seem to speed up and get more noticeable as time goes on. The part is eventually stained by black glow and overtaken by darkness as the music glitches out, and this takes us on to the next section, where havoc ensues. Incredible flashy effects with red and black color scheme are at the next part, and the lines that web across the screen are absolutely amazing. This part appears to depict some sort of demons running across a hellish landscape, and with the background effects and all-around insanity this part, it captures the music perfectly and has some of the most effective atmospheres I've seen in an auto level ever. The part after this is more effect-focused, with a very nice pulsing structure being the center of attention. This weird artwork has circles in the end to big lines that stem to the edge of the screen, and it edges in and out, pulsing to the beat. There are some very cool red glow flashes that accompany this part, and though it is simpler than the previous one, I think it holds the atmosphere very well. With the dusty black glow that is flying across the screen in the background, it still feels like you are in some sort of hellish vortex, but now it feels like you are on the inside, contrary to the previous part. The effect speeds up as the music ensues, and eventually we are taken to the next section of the level. This is by far one of my favorites. There's a black mound in the center of the screen, with hands that appear to be similar to the hands of the demons we saw in one of the earlier parts grabbing across the screen. There are some very cool blood effects that seem to come out of the bottom of the screen, and there's also a spinning spotlight of red that rotates and flashes in and out around the mound in the center. This part is absolutely amazing, The way the hands sync up to the music and move in such sporadic patterns gives it such an insane feeling. The part abruptly ends as the music hits a high note, and we are now taken to a much simpler section in the level. No longer starring flashy effects, there's only a very unsettling skull sitting in the middle of the screen. I really like this part and what it does with the atmosphere, because the sudden contrast from the flashy effects to just a calm skull sitting in the middle of the screen is very off-putting. However, the lights that are coming from inside the skull's eyes start to flash at the music as it starts picking up again, and it feels like something is growing once more, and I feel like this part is Serpunge's way of telling you that the hell isn't over. The part that happens after this is probably my favorite in the level. There's once again a return of the black webs that string and flash across the screen, and in the background there's a rotating symbol that I don't actually know what it is. However, the music will sync with this effect, and the bass line that is played at this part is so unconventional, but somehow extremely effective, and that's why I love this part so much. The part after this is not as flashy as the previous. You seem to have finally escaped the hellish vortex, and you are now in some sort of city landscape with black dots flying across the screen to the song. They seem to accumulate as time goes on, and they could represent the demons that were in the previous parts. This is the final part of the level, and it has an abrupt ending with Serpunge's name going across the screen with a very cool effect that syncs very nicely. The level ends with a black screen, and overall, this level is absolutely stunning. It's probably my favorite take on a hell-themed level of all time, and it really does something more with the concept than just red decoration and demon faces that give you death threats. This is the epitome of auto artwork in GD, and I hope you can understand why this level is so amazing to me. I've wanted to talk about this one for a long time, but it always got prioritized by other levels, so I'm glad I finally got the chance to give it some attention. I hope you guys like this level as much as I do, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from with it. With all that said, though, let's move on to the next level. The next level is one that has already been talked about a fair bit, but I want to give my thoughts on it regardless. Kid Smoke has been quite the talked about level ever since its release, and there have been many conflicting opinions on it. Therefore, I thought it could be worthwhile to give my 2 cents. In my opinion, Kid Smoke is a very well done level. If you know me, you know that I am a huge advocate and fan for atmosphere in levels, and Kid Smoke works perfectly in this regard. Kid Smoke is also another example of an amazing song completing a level, as the way that the decoration and the music fit together is just on another level. The level starts out with a Stura intro cube that says the title of the level, and right after this, you are thrown into the madness. The first part is a ship section with very unorthodox decoration and designs, and this can be very off-putting to the viewer at first. However, I think this part manages to capture the essence of the song flawlessly. The visual sync is absolutely amazing. The little gray creatures that breathe out clouds of fog to the music is such an amazing concept, and this part is incredibly dynamic. The lines that web across the background also sync the song very well, and overall this part is an incredibly solid start to the level. The part after this is another ship section, this time with a large fleshy wall on the right of the screen, and an amazing custom background that seems very in your face but works very well. There are some more very cool structures here, with most of them being creatures with tongues lolling out, and at this point, it is clear that the level is going for a creepy and unsettling feel. The section after this is a ball part, and personally, this is my least favorite part in the level. I really like the concept that is portrayed at this part, though. It appears that you're in some sort of stomach, presumably the stomach of the beast that we saw in the previous section, but the large, unmoving flesh structures on the right and left of the screen are just a no for me. I feel like without them this part would be so much better because everything else about it is awesome. The little creatures that pop in and out of the ground, and the block designs and colors are again incredibly unsettling and well done. However, the next part picks it right back up and blows me away yet again. We once again see a part with this recurring demon creature, and he seems to be the main character of the level. This part is very dark, and it's mostly red and black. It also features an amazing custom background with curvy lines, and this custom beadry is recurring throughout the level. It's honestly one of my favorites. It's such a cool concept, and the way Simul pulls it off is so good. Again, this part has amazing visual sync, and the way that the blocks flash red and black to the song is so good. I just want to emphasize once again how amazing this song is. It really brings this level to life, and I applaud Simul for their visualization of this amazing piece of music. After this part, we enter what I and many other people consider to be one of, if not the best part in the level, the wave. This wave has such amazing animations, and the unsettling way that the demon moves is so well done. The sync to the song is also incredible, and the simple but confusing block designs are a nice touch. I think the way that the blocks are very simple and one solid color really juxtaposes the demon that dances across the screen, and this focuses your attention on his movements, which I think is the goal of the part. It's almost hypnotic how he prances and twirls, and it's genuinely one of my favorite animations in any GD level. However, the next section is also amazing. The duel right here is in my opinion the most underrated part in the level, The color scheme is so unorthodox, and the feeling it gives off is like no other. I genuinely can't express my love for this part enough. The way everything syncs up to the music is so good. The gameplay is perfection. This duel is one of my favorite duels gameplay-wise to ever be made, as the way that both icons sync to separate parts of the song is just so on point. The rotating curvy thing in the background also syncs to more of the unnoticeable noises that are present in the song at this part, and I really love how he took so much time to make this part representative of every single aspect of the song. The faces that flash in and out of the screen are also amazing, and overall this part, in my opinion, is tied with Wave for the best. But it just keeps getting better. There's a transitional wave part, and then the level takes you to another one of my favorite parts in the level, this UFO section. The colors here are absolutely insane, but the way that they somehow perfectly capture the feeling of the song is just incredible to me. The monsters that are in the background are incredibly unsettling, and the gameplay here is also confusing and makes you feel on edge. Everything about this part is awesome, and the way the level just keeps getting better is so good. The part after this is a mini-ship with the return of the curvy moving background, and though this part is very simple, it gets the job done and continues the feeling. There are some very creepy faces that appear in the background of the music, and the gameplay is confusing but manageable. I really think the gameplay in this level is something that a lot of people gloss over. The confusing memory aspect of it really adds to the overall feeling of the level, and I think it's part of the reason this level is so unsettling and atmospheric. Again, everything in this level just harmoniously works together to make this artistic masterpiece. The level slows down at the next part, with some cool rotating castles and confusing memory gameplay, accompanied by what appears to be some falling leaves. This part is very juxtaposed to the previous ones, and I think the sudden calmness is a very cool contrast. The level enters the last cube next, and it's all starting to slow down and fade to black. There are some really well-made demon creatures that sit at the bottom of the screen, and overall the level is slowing down and you seem to be escaping the madness. As you enter the last cube maze, you escape the level, and it bids you farewell with a very weird end screen that keeps the unsettling feeling right until the end. Overall, this level is just a masterpiece. Everything works together extremely well, from the gameplay to the song to the decoration. I also find the gameplay in this level extremely fun, and I highly recommend giving this level a shot if you have the skill or patience. I know this level is definitely not for everyone, but I hope you can understand a little bit better why I and so many other people like it so much now. It's another example of a very well done artistic work in GD, and it will go down as one of my favorite levels at 2.1 for sure. The final level I have to talk about today is Citadel of the Skies by ML500. Citadel of the Skies is simply a gorgeous level in so many regards, from the usage of player colors and shades of blue to the designs and backgrounds. Ever since it was released, it has been one of my favorite works, and I'm really glad I can finally talk about it. This is actually one of the levels I have played and beaten myself in this list, so I can actually comment on this gameplay. I'm actually using the footage I used when I beat it in the background. Once again, Citadel of the Skies is another level that benefits from an amazing song, and the way that ML5 capitalized on the feeling that the music gives off is amazing. The level also has a very interesting story that not many people have commented on as far as I can tell, so I will also be taking a look at that. Citadel of the Skies starts off with a simple cube section that has a very pretty custom ground and simplistic background that I think is a very nice start to the level. ML5 keeps this intro section very short, which I like, as when levels have a boring slow cube sections that are in the beginning, they often take away from the enjoyability of the level when playing from zero. The next part takes us into the real level, where we can see a very well done custom background of the Citadel itself that the level is themed around, alongside gorgeous colors and simplistic yet effective designs. I really like how everything is floating in the air in this section and there's no ground decoration. It really sells the sky element that the name suggests. According to ML5, the story of the level is about a time goddess who lives in her citadel floating in the sky, and of course, this is our first glance at it and our introduction to the concept. Alongside all the cool designs, there are some nice art creatures that float in the air of varying sizes and facial expressions. This part is very atmospheric and pretty overall, and it's one of my favorites in the level because of it. However, the quality doesn't stop here. The next section is a slow and fun spider part that has absolutely gorgeous dark blue colors and designs, complete with a custom background of a rotating clock. This furthers the idea that the level is centered around time, and of course, this is because the level tells about a time goddess. After this short spider section, we are taken back into a part with similar designs and colors to the second section of the level. This time, though, instead of a visual of the Citadel, we are greeted with a large moon and some clouds that really give this part a great atmosphere. The colors in the sky here are so beautiful, and overall, I love these two parts that feel like you are in the open air. We also see a quick glimpse of the time goddess herself at this part, with line art of her appearing in the moon in the second half. I just want to acknowledge how skilled ML5 is at line art, as the smoothness of the curves in this art is absolutely amazing. The next part is even better in my opinion, with it building on the first spider in an amazing custom background with the clock and having it all themed around blue. However, at this part, there's very nice uses of player colors, which is something that was necessary for the creator contest that this level was entered into. Though the block designs here are again simple, the colors are on point, and the custom background is absolutely stunning. After this dual cube, we enter what I think would be the Citadel itself. An interesting thing to consider here is that there's another line art that is right before the drop of the song that shows a boy, and this is supposedly the brother of the time goddess. Anyway, the decorations at the drop and the duel are absolutely gorgeous. And from the ground design to the pillars and gears that are used in this dual wave and ship, they're some of my favorite parts in the level. The colors here are stunning, and I love the white and blue combo that really makes everything pop. The mini UFO after this has some monochrome designs that feel like 1.9, and the gameplay here is super fun. Again, the usage of player colors here is on point, and overall this part, though one of the lesser quality in the level, is still very good and well made. The next part is a fast-paced swing copter that fits very well with the song, and we see a large rotating hourglass and the block designs that again brings the theming back to time. There is the return of these little flying ghost creatures that fly past in the blocks, and the colors in this part are very vibrant and pretty. I really like how this level goes from a bright themed color section to a darker one back to a bright one. The contrast here really highlights each individual part and makes them all flow seamlessly from one another while keeping them varied. After this swing copter, we see a transition part that features some art of both the characters in the level, the time goddess and her brother. We are then taken into the dual spider, which is, in my opinion, the most fun part in the level. It's very well made so that you have to click in the right areas and can't skip anything, and I really like how it is well playtested. This part also takes it back to the original theme of the first few parts, being back outside the Citadel and being in the outside open air with the night sky in the background. These block designs here are again simple, but they are effective and not the focus of the part. Instead, everything, though simplistic, works together to create an atmosphere that ML5 is going for. The next part is a dual mini cube that again feels similar to the first duel, and overall I really like how the ending in this level brings it all back to the concepts of the start. The background here is again really well made, and I love the rotating structures that appear at these dual parts. I really like how this one pulses and doesn't just show the whole thing at one time, and instead it shows only certain segments at a time and becomes visible as it pulses to the music. The last ship has some very nice structuring, and in the background we get to see the one last glance at the Citadel of the skies. The designs are similar in theme to the first part, and as we exit the level, we are greeted with an end screen that shows the two main characters of the level. Overall, this work is very simple but very well done, and the atmosphere and feeling it gives off is like no other. And the way ML5 uses themes to his advantage is awesome. I hope you guys like this level as much as I do. I know it's simplistic and not some amazing design themed level, but I really hope you can see why I like it and think it's such a great work. I know it's not for everyone, but I still think it's a great level of art and theming, and that's why I'm such a huge fan of it. I really applaud ML5 for his works, and I'm excited to see what he will create in the future. Well, that's all the 5 levels I have for today's episode of Level Spotlight. Thank you all so much for the support in this series. I really do enjoy making these, and I'm looking forward to where this little mini show will go in the future of my channel. Sorry about this episode being so long, I just had so much to say about all the levels, and I couldn't really do anything about it. You guys really are the best. I appreciate all the support I've gotten from so many corners of the community as of late. It's really been a surreal experience, and it couldn't have happened without all of you. Whether you're brand new to my channel or have been here since the first upload, I love you all, and thank you guys so much for supporting me and motivating me to keep doing YouTube. I hope you guys liked hearing my thoughts on the works I presented in this video, and if you guys have anything to say about any of the levels in this list, feel free to drop a comment and tell me what you think. With all that said, I want to give a massive thank you to you for watching this far, and I will see you guys all in the next video.